my God! The first time I ever drove an Aston Martin, it was a DB11 with the AMG V8, and I thought it was pretty spectacular. It was light, comfortable, agile, but there was one thing missing. It just didn't feel uniquely Aston. That's why they had to step up their game. And step up their game they did. This is the DBS Superleggera Volante. The Superleggera meaning super light in Italian, and Volante meaning convertible. This is Aston Martin's flagship model, at least until an AMR version arrives with a little bit more power and they start making mid-engine stuff like the Valkyrie and Valhalla. But this right now is the ultimate Aston Martin that you can buy. I mean, just look at it. The DB11 is a sleek, svelte thing. This is more like a mafia hitman. You could almost call it the British Hellcat, and more on that a little bit later. Around the side here, we have these beautiful black 21-inch wheels with optional red brake calipers. I love the color combination that I've been sent here on this car. Not all of the DBS's wheels look that great, but I think these ones are the ones you're gonna wanna get if you are optioning out one of these cars. Around back, we see a very different profile than we do on the coupe. I think the convertible looks much prettier, and for about $25,000 more, it is definitely the one that I would get. We have tons of optional carbon fiber. The whole rear diffuser is carbon fiber on this car. We also have just a very tiny carbon fiber lip spoiler. That's part of the extra aerodynamics that they've done here on this DBS Superleggera. This car has the Aeroblade technology from the DB11, but it is tuned up so that this car can handle even better at high speeds. The DB11 did start to feel a little bit floaty when you really got up there in top speed, but the DBS handles amazing, even when you get it up to 180 or approach its massive top speed of 211 miles an hour. And before we get it out on the road, I just want to show you the absolute marvel that's under this engine. So we have these weird little door handles here. I'm going to go ahead and push the hood opening button here and open up the massive clamshell hood to reveal their all-new engine. This is completely new. It does have a couple of pieces from the old 6-liter V12, but this one is a 5.2-liter hand-built in England, twin-turbocharged V12. It puts out 715 horsepower and 662 pound-feet of torque. It's pretty much a British Hellcat if there ever were such a thing, although I'm sure Aston won't be fond of that comparison. I mean that in the nicest of ways. And you can see up here, this hood, all carbon fiber, meaning it's lightweight. We've got a carbon fiber trunk as well to help sort of keep down the weight in that Superleggera fashion. But we also have the underbonnet jewelry pack, which means our oil cap and our engine covers, those are gold. Absolutely beautiful. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut that. So now let's go ahead and get this beautiful British Roadster out on the road. Time to see what 715 horsepower of British Fury feels like out on the road. So I've pushed the S button here, that puts it into sport mode. I've pushed it again to put it into Sport Plus. We're gonna go ahead and put our suspension into Sport Plus. We have 3 modes for that as well. I love how Aston has divided that so you can have Sport Plus mode, but also have GT mode on the suspension. That's really nice that they have 3 modes for each. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in manual on these beautiful metal paddles. Let's see how 715 horsepower feels. Oh my God! Oh, it's so fast. You may have heard there. It definitely cut in with the traction control there. 715 horsepower. Going to the rear wheels, it doesn't go down that easily. I mean, those are 305 tires in the back, but it's only a rear-wheel drive car, so it does struggle to put down its grip at first. 715 horsepower, that's a lot going to those rear wheels only. 0 to 62 miles an hour takes 3.6 seconds. That's about 0.2 seconds slower than the coupe. And you may be thinking to yourself, 3.6 seconds, That's actually not that quick, and you'd be right. There are a lot of cars that do it a lot quicker. I mean, a Nissan GT-R will do it in 2.5 seconds, but that's all-wheel drive. That's got a dual clutch. That's not what this car is about. This car is about smooth, effortless power. Listen to that. This car will do 0 to 100 miles an hour in just 6.7 seconds. So don't let that misleading 0 to 60 time fool you. The car can't put its power down off the line, but beyond that, it's an absolute rocket ship, and I can't get enough of that V12 sound. This is easily one of the loudest and best sounding cars I've ever driven. I do love revving it out, and if I revved it out all the way, this baby will do 211 miles an hour. That is an incredibly fast and powerful car. And the way it handles is simply sublime as well. It's not a race car. That's not what this car is for. It is a GT car, but the steering is so light and so delicate. It gives me such good feedback. I have it now in its stiffest suspension mode, and it's still unbelievably comfortable. I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in GT mode. That's how I like to drive the DBS Superleggera. Sport Plus mode on the drive mode, Comfort GT mode on the suspension. It just makes this car absolutely sublime. You can take it over any road surface and it still rides beautifully. It doesn't break your back. These seats, they're so comfortable. They've got heating and ventilation, tons of adjustment. I could spend 10, 12, 15, 24 hours in these seats comfortably. Now, the one flaw of this car as a Grand Tourer is you're going to be stopping a lot for fuel. It's rated at 14 mpg in the city, 22 on the highway, 17 combined. If you drive it like a grandma, which you won't want to do, you can maybe squeeze 20 mpg out of it, maybe. If you drive this car the way it was meant to be driven, like this, you might get 10 mpg. I've averaged 5. This is definitely the thirstiest car I have ever driven. And it's not a light car, 4,100 pounds, even though it is called Superleggera, Sport Light. The brakes, to stop this massive car, you need massive brakes. That's why we've got carbon ceramics under the wheels. We've got 16.1 inch front discs with 6 piston calipers. The rear, we have 4 pistons, 14.2 inch size. They stop this car, oh boy, really well. And then accelerate again. This is one of the greatest driving cars. This is the ultimate Grand Tourer. I think if you're looking for show, you're looking for go, you're looking for comfort, you're looking for one of the best sounding engines you can get, this is definitely it. I'm struggling to find things that I don't like about the way it drives, and I'm just coming up blank. The driving experience of the DBS Superleggera is perfect. Now we're gonna pull over and check out the interior, because while the driving experience is perfect and the interior is really nice, it's definitely not perfect. So let's go ahead and pull on over and check that out, shall we? All right, so we pulled over. Before we check out the interior, let's just put the top down real quick. The top goes down. It only takes about 14 seconds, and to put it back up, about 16 seconds. And you can do it at speeds of about 30 miles an hour or less, so you can do it on the move, which is pretty nice. Now that it's up, let's go ahead and check out this interior. Just give it a second click. That'll roll up all the windows here. This interior is such a weird combination of amazing and sort of forgettable. So from here forward, it looks pretty identical to the last DB11 that I drove. We have these beautiful push button shifters and the crystal engine start. We also have these very annoying touch capacitive climate and radio controls. I don't love how those function, although I do love that there is a 360-degree camera. When your car is worth nearly $400,000, that is really nice. Yes, I did say almost $400,000. This car starts at about $320,000 for the convertible, which is about 25 grand more than the coupe. And this one that we have here has about 50 grand worth of options, bringing the price to about $386,000. It's a lot. Now, one of the biggest options that this car in particular has is this Q exclusive leather. Now this is where the interior really shines, because up here, not that great, but these seats, as I mentioned while we were driving, are perfectly bolstered. They are adjustable if you're a bit smaller than me. I love the white color that they picked on this particular press car, and the quilting, which is another additional extra, is also incredible. We also have the Bang & Olufsen stereo. That's about an $8,000 option. When I push the power button, the tweeters rise out of the dash. I think that's really cool. Adds a little bit of theater to this car. Pretty much everything you see is wrapped in leather. Even the sun visor is wrapped in leather. The steering wheel is this beautiful leather. Here's those drive mode controls I was telling you about, as well as the suspension controls. All digital gauges now. We don't have any analog gauges anymore. They look pretty cool, and they do change depending on the drive mode, but I do prefer the old school analog ones in this particular car just because they looked so pretty. And I did notice that in certain lights, the gauges would be a little bit glary, which is not great. So the interior quality, absolutely amazing. We have this cool sliding center console here with cup holders. Makes it a little bit practicality, but there isn't a lot of places to put stuff, although this is quite large. The infotainment, as you might be able to see, is an old Mercedes unit. It used to be called Command for Mercedes, so it's not the easiest thing to navigate. I'll go ahead and turn the screen on here. You have like this rotating knob. It's not the most intuitive, nor is it the quickest. It doesn't have Apple CarPlay and it doesn't have Android Auto, so in terms of technology, the DBS is a little bit lacking. We do have back seats back there, but I'm wearing nice clothes. I'm not gonna try and rip any of them getting back there, but I will show you the trunk area. So let's go check that out. This is a grand touring car after all, so chances are you might want to take a trip with it, and for that you'll need your luggage. Here the Aston does just okay with 7 cubic feet of storage. It gets reduced down to 6 with this convertible partition in the way. But since this car is built in England and they do know their rain there, it comes with a handy umbrella in the trunk. And I didn't actually see this on the options list, so hey, maybe Aston actually does give you something for free. For 386 grand, I'll take a free umbrella. I think more so than any other car I've ever tested, I'm just so bewitched by this car. There are so many things to like about it. It's striking to look at. It drives beautifully. The steering's fantastic. It's not too uncomfortable. That engine is an absolute masterpiece. The interior, the seats look spectacular. The interior technology is probably the only flaw in an otherwise perfect car. That and the price tag. While this car is pretty much perfect, I just can't get behind $386,000. So an otherwise perfect car is going to earn a CarBuzz score of shop around. It's just too expensive and I can't recommend it. Just kidding, I got you. This is probably the best car I've ever driven. It's up there. I've driven a couple cars that are maybe a little sportier than this, but I love a good GT, a car that does everything, that's comfortable, fast, amazing to look at, but doesn't punish you out on the road. I think Aston here has built the ultimate Grand Tourer. The last DBS was a little bit prettier than this, but this will be much faster out on the road. And I think for most modern buyers, this is the ultimate Grand Touring luxury car that money can buy. It obviously earns a CarBuzz score of must buy.